Today we have 24 nations coming in Korea for the participation in 2017 PALS, and the Korean people as well as the media has a lot of interest on this issue. And one of the headlines in the newspaper has said that the Marines of the world has gathered up in Korea. This is the third year ever since the start of the PALS. And since we have it in Korea, I think this is a great opportunity to think about the security situation of the Korean Peninsula, and I guess this is a great opportunity for us all.
Well, good morning. This is, if you look around the room, wherever you're sitting, it's a pretty fantastic view. The number of countries that are represented here by their naval and ground and marine forces, there's no other event like this from around the world where people gather to talk about amphibious operations. So it's a pretty remarkable view from where I'm standing up here. 2 years ago, when this forum was begun, there was a representative from one country there who came to learn. And his country did not have a Marine Corps at that time. But from those 3 days in Hawaii, he went home, convinced his leadership that their country needed a Marine Corps because they did not have an amphibious capability. Earlier this year, Sri Lanka graduated their first company of Marines. So in 2 short years, from seeing the potential of amphibious operations in a Marine Corps, they went from 0 to having the beginnings of what will be 2 battalions of Marines. That's the power of this forum right here. So we have much work to do. We're very fortunate to have my good friend Admiral Swift here to talk to us, speak with us about naval integration. Sir, we're very glad to have you.
Amphibious operations are very, very complex, as you saw firsthand the other day. And the complexity of those operations only increases as they are executed. And my experience has been what most ensures the success of those operations is the close relationship between the commanders. So they can focus on those friction points in a way that is focused on achieving solutions rather than casting blame or wringing hands over what the impediments are to achieving the objectives on the timeline that's been laid out. Amphibious operations are joint and combined. And it's extraordinary the story that General Berger just shared about how far and how rapidly Sri Lanka has come in developing a Marine force. That's not a unique story. More and more countries across really the world, but especially here in the Indo-Asia-Pacific, are recognizing the critical nature of naval forces and how they can bring greater stability to a region that seems to be experiencing greater and greater levels of instability. Each of the 22 nations that are represented here today have real contributions that they can make today to crisis that we may face tomorrow or this afternoon. So it's not the size of the force, it's not the level of development of Marine forces or naval forces. It's a commitment to the understanding that the Pacific is a littoral area, and naval forces, combined Navy and Marine forces, are absolutely critical to managing the uncertainty and the crisis that emerge on a regular basis. Those thousands of islands, those long coastlines, and strategic waterways all combine to make a compelling case for forums and conferences like this to discuss how best to manage the uncertainty and the instability that seems to ride within those islands, within those waterways, and within those littoral spaces.
Together, and we work together, ground forces with ground forces. It significantly improves our ability to execute is the command and control and the organization of the force, such that that's clear to everyone. Naval gunfire support, sea-delivered missiles, artillery, ground-delivered missiles, with the existing forces we have, and to identify what the right missions are. So amphibious operations are, by definition, joint, and so how we command and direct.
And tonight will be an enjoyable time for you to experience the Korean culture and have a good rest of the day.
거의 헌변은 잘 타는 곳 북두칠성님이 복마련허를 하셨는가.
That was such a wonderful performance.